All right. We're getting everybody to join us. Happy Friday, everybody. Excited to see
Happy
how many.
Friday to you.
Yeah, we got a lot of people that are here a few minutes early. I'm really impressed at the punctuality of
Especially
everybody.
on a Friday.
I
Or
know.
ordinarily they'd be working on loans, but there aren't any.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sure they're
is that
all
too
working
soon?
on
Too
loans.
But
They're
too
no.
early for that?
Yeah, it is. It is. Oh my gosh. Steve Richmond. I have to give a shout out to Steve. Steve did this awesome thing on LinkedIn where he said hello to me. So thank you. Hi, Steve. All right. So
Steve,
Rob,
Steve's a fantastic example of a work release program that's successful. He's managed to stay clean.
what is happening
And
right now?
what's that?
You can't. That's not okay.
I can't talk about Steve Richmond and the work release program.
No, it's not real. It's not real. Steve, we love you. Thanks for your shout out today. And Rob Christmas is crazy.
it'll be fun. Y'all hang on.
All right. Let's go ahead and kick us off. Are you ready to kick us off? You want to tell us kind of where in the world is Rob Chrisman today?
Oh, we're not going to do the introductions first. So one of the backgrounds here is of the Golden Gate Bridge, and I am literally north of the freeway that you see crossing the Golden Gate Bridge is about 50 yards from where I'm standing. Highway 101 goes all the way up to Oregon and down to towards San Diego, or at least Los Angeles. But this town once again is Larkspur, California, and I picked this spot because of these houses behind us. And you always hear about these, hey, can you do a 20-acre yurt property, somebody in Montana or something? But when I look behind me, it's actually a group of single family residences, but they are artists. And the art that we're about to walk back and see has been here for decades. So if you go back, can you still hear me, by the way?
Yeah, we can still hear you. We're going on a field trip with Rob Chrisman today.
Yeah, we're going on a field trip, and there's some funk with a capital F.
Okay.
With all of this. Here's
That
even
like an old no.
Yeah, that's an old phone booth.
Okay.
And
Oh,
it's a
Oh, it's a Tin Man, like the one from
Wizard of Oz.
yeah. I had a moment.
yeah.
A couple of them.
Yeah.
So if you think about, there's even a slide back there in a boat. But if you think about what appraisers have to deal with, how do you appraise something like that? That is literally 50 yards from a freeway and filled with yard art. Anyway, so that's where I am right now.
Okay. There were a few people that missed where you are. Can you repeat
Oh,
it, please?
Larkspur, California.
Harrisburg, California, close
Next
to
to Highway 101.
yeah.
Rob, how many of those single family units are there in total?
1, 2,
Okay.
3, 4.
So it's just that little section. It doesn't expand more because I mean, if it's a whole community, that to your point, there'd be some comps, I guess. But how
Yeah,
do you
exactly.
appraise that? Yeah.
I don't know. It's a nice county north of San Francisco, kind of wedged between San Francisco and the Napa Valley. But it's just I would view that as an appraisal issue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to appraise for sure. Maybe
Well, when I first saw you, I thought it was all under construction. So
Nah, they've been there probably 30 or 40 years. Well, I can't say 40, but I remember them many years ago. So anyway, and you're in Dallas, right? You're not watching the sunrise over the Golden Gate Bridge.
I wish. No, not today. Normally I'm on the West Coast, but I am physically in Dallas today. So about to hop a flight back though.
Sitting in a hotel room.
Sitting in a hotel room. So I thought this background was a little bit prettier than the really fantastic wallpaper that they have here.
Are you a Marriott gal?
I am. Yes, absolutely. Special plug.
Yep, yep.
Right.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and officially kick us off. Now that we know where Rob Chrisman is and we know where Donielle Geiser is, I'm Melissa Langdale, the president and COO of the Mortgage Collaborative, as always joined by Rob Chrisman and this week's very special guest, Donielle Geiser, who is the COO of Thrive Mortgage. Donielle, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you guys so much, both of y'all, for allowing me to be here and have a little fun and go on a field trip. Wasn't expecting that, Rob, so thanks.
Field trip. And Melissa, I promise not to talk about Steve Richmond's ankle bracelet. Oh boy.
We'll tackle this.
Well, it was
off
nice. It was nice working with you guys. Nice working with you.
All right. Well, let's talk about mortgage a little bit. Can we do that? Okay, great. Well, Donielle, obviously with kind of volume being lower right now, you know, margins are tight for a lot of our lenders. And obviously that means looking at kind of creative ways to gain operational efficiencies, but still continue to support the sales team as they need to be supported. And so I thought it'd be really great to just kind of open up with some of the things that maybe Thrive is considering doing or has done just recently that have really kind of helped set you guys apart and have allowed you guys to really, you know, best serve your sales team as well as create those operational efficiencies for your operations teams that they need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I feel like we've talked about automation and bots probably to death. I feel like it's definitely an overused word. I think we spent most of 2021 and early 22 talking about bots, but it is effective, right? When you create that automation in-house and really take those data entry, mundane tasks off of your team, and not to mention it improves quality, which, as we know right now, quality is a big thing, a big topic, at least in the world of Thrive, and making sure that we're just not, you know, sending money out the door. One of the big things though that we've done is I do have a team, created a operations specialty team that really works hand in hand with our LOS and our automation teams to evaluate workflows and processes in each department to find those opportunities for efficiency gains. You know, not every leader is great at evaluating their own teams and their own workflows. I had a manager one time that actually, you know, talked about, you go into the office every day, you see that garbage can sitting there in the corner and it tends to get full and you don't notice because you see it every day, but somebody new walks in and then the first thing they see is that overflowing garbage can. And so sometimes it just takes that fresh set of eyes coming in to look at your processes, especially if they don't really understand the inner workings of everything that you do. And so that's really what this team is about. You know, created, they go into each team, they're working with each department individually. And most of the time it does result in some form of automation, but we're also uncovering that we're not using our current systems and vendors to the full capacity that they actually offer. So why have a human working 8 hours a day to assign appraisal panels, to open appraisal orders, when, surprise, Mercury has an auto assign feature? But that's just the way we've always done it. So the answer to there is no. Challenge that status quo. Look at all of the systems that you're currently utilizing and make sure you're utilizing them to the fullest. You know, reach out to your vendor partners and see what are you leaving on the table that won't cost you any extra money, but maybe you can pick up some efficiencies. Challenge them to be better partners to engage with you on education of new services, anything new that they're coming out that maybe you can, you know, beta test that are included in your current pricing and contract that you're just not actively taking advantage of. You might be surprised at how much capacity you can gain back because you haven't had that conversation recently. The other big thing that we're really focused on, especially in creating that efficiencies, is cross-training to build that utility player. And it's not sexy, it's not new, but we are asking all of our teams to do more with less. But how are we actually preparing them for their next career step in the middle of all of this? So one thing in particular that we do is the use of junior underwriters. So this team is really our next line of conventional underwriters that we're already working to get them there. So, for example, pipelines are slow. We don't need as many processors as we had during the summer of last year. So let's really take the great ones, the ones we know that have that desire, that quality, that capacity to learn, and get them to into files, but in a different capacity to build for their future. So our junior underwriting team, they're responsible for a number of different activities in our underwriting pipeline, from basic data entry of special product codes, initial file scrubs so the underwriters can pick up and complete that file to review, conventional appraisal reviews, revision requests on appraisals, disclosure review, even level 1 risk condition review and clearing. So all of those components are going to set them up for that next step of conventional underwriting files. So we're building a workforce for when, not if, but when we do get that refi boom. And then that allows them to continue to build in their career. Plus, they're taking task off our credentialed underwriting team, which speed to close, that's a huge thing, and allows them to get through a file faster and keep our underwriting turn times to 24 hours or less. Bottom line, just don't leave any stone unturned. Challenge that status quo. We keep talking about that. I've asked all of my leaders to really spend some time job shadowing. I mean, we know they have the time right now. So just get your eyes open, get in there. What roadblocks are our teams seeing, and how can we solve to create those workflow optimization? And get your teams involved. I mean, give them a voice to speak up. They live it, they breathe it every day. I'm sure they have some ideas on what we can do better and how we can do it. And so we really, are working directly with our frontline teams to ask, what is the biggest pain point in your day? And then create that think tank to really dig in and understand, what can we do to solve it? So a lot of different aspects there, but really just listening to the voice of our teams has been the biggest thing, and engaging our lender partners, our vendor partners, in a kind of a different capacity than we have in the past.
I love it.
So if I could jump in.
Yeah.
Donielle, if this were
Not that I could stop you, Rob.
Oh, Melissa does nothing but stop me the whole show. So if over here is technological expertise, acumen, Melissa's over here, and I'm at the other end of the spectrum with my flip phone,
Sure.
and so on. Can you explain just one example of how Thrive uses AI, artificial intelligence? What exactly does that mean to you? And just say one task, one thing that you've been able to apply AI to help your company.
I think speed is really, the overarching result that we're getting from it, and whether that's even just from a top tier level of leadership, jumping into any kind of AI to help be more effective and efficient communication. I mean, I know I did a chat GPT the other day, and how do I, make this meeting better? And just reaching out, because not every leader is a great communicator. Not every leader is a great coach. And so really utilizing some of those tools that we have at our disposal that, again, are free, doesn't cost a whole lot of money, just a little bit of time and effort, and getting in there and really understanding, okay, what can I do to utilize this technology that's already at my fingertips, such as Chat GPT, to be a more effective leader and to coach, communicate, and help our teams really understand. So I know we did a session at TMC in Nashville, and I mean, the board was full, and I think it was actually 2 boards. I'm sure Aaron D will help me correct that later, but so many different ideas that we can use, not just, hopeful, wishful things, but really in the moment things, everything from emails to meetings, to even workflow efficiency and coding. I mean, there's so many different examples, Rob, that we could go into and really dive into. But I think, just at least from a leadership and an operations standpoint, it's being a more effective leader.
One of the things that that came out of that was even things like job descriptions, right? Like in your time better as a leader, so that you're spending your time in the most effective way with your team. And so there were some people that were leveraging it for, communication, or in some cases, I know some people that are leveraging it for marketing. I know some people that are leveraging it to kind of double check business rules, and how those are being written in their LOS. So there's
even conditions. I mean, underwriting conditions, guidelines, how are we even putting it back out into the field?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you look at the products of vendors through AI? I mean, like if a credit report comes across your desk, or across the airwaves?
Mhm.
I mean, do you use AI to analyze that, for example?
I mean, absolutely could. I personally don't because I may have a flip phone myself. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. But yeah, I mean, you can. I don't think there's any limit to it. And I think as we all kind of get more comfortable with it, um, there's absolutely going to be those efficiency gains. Now, of course, you're going to have to tailor it, especially if you're using it for communication, to fit you, to fit your team, and making sure that it sounds like you and it's coming from your voice. But absolutely, I don't see why there's any limitation to that. At least it's kind of like a second set of eyes, right? That you could run it through and get feedback on, rather than having to stop another person from what they're doing. Hey, can you double check me on this? Or take a look at this and provide some feedback. It's there.
John has a really good point I want to make sure we point out. You do also have to make sure that you double check some of the answers that ChatGPT gives you, and you're careful about the things that you put into ChatGPT as well, because
Very
it is a
true.
public forum, and so no trade secrets, no company secrets that you put into ChatGPT. So there's my legal warning of the day. um, Donielle, there's a lot of companies, especially over the last couple of years, that have really tried to invest in new technology initiatives to
Mhm.
drive operational efficiencies. But some of the things that you mentioned really are kind of tried and true, but make a huge difference, right? Being able to kind of invest in your team and cross train them. While maybe you could use ChatGPT to write a new job description for what a junior underwriter looks like for you guys,
Right.
that still gives you the ability of, kind of navigating this world that we're in a really
Mhm.
effective way. So, I think there's a balance, might be why Rob and I work so well together sometimes, is because there's a balance of like technology and tried and true,
Yeah.
methodology as well.
Yeah.
I
No,
wouldn't even put my name in the tried and true bucket, Melissa. Anyway,
Yes, yes, yes.
so do you think it's saved you money? And how do you measure those cost savings if you think it has? Or is it just I shouldn't say just, or has it improved your quality control, quality and accuracy, cost be damned?
yeah, no, I think for me at least, that's my number one, kind of measurement. I mean, I feel like there's 85 different ways you could slice open that apple and see, okay, if I go penny by penny. But I mean, and you do, at the end of the day, you really do have to create not only just that ROI, but really being able to measure and see, is it worth the, initial investment, that cost of that developer coming in, especially if you're doing it in house, to write the code, to build the bot, to, put it in place, make sure it works, make sure you're getting the accurate feedback that, hey, it's not working, it's broke, all of those things. But I think coupling that, to Melissa's point, really coupling that with, looking at your current workflows, what can we see, where can we take the human element out of? For us, it's been a huge efficiency gain, in quality specifically. So, really truly reducing a lot of the investor steps, the time the loans sit on the warehouse lines, especially as we're seeing those rates go up and up. Just making sure that we don't have so much of that coming back to us because we've got cleaner files leaving our building, so to speak. And that's, I mean, to me, that's huge. That's an easy win. That's a quick, fast thing that if I don't have to have somebody sitting in manually data typing entries into a file. I know I've got the fat fingers. I mistype things all the time. So if I can have a bot that does that, or a bot that pulls it, and then I've just got my people, my experts really looking at the information and analyzing it, we see a much cleaner, much faster file that not only goes through the entire loan manufacturing process, but also on the backside getting it sold. I know we've all dealt with a lot of repurchase demands, MDN requests along the way, especially coming out of 2022. And, hopefully we can continue to see the reduction of that as we continue to optimize, especially through automation and, just cleaning up some of our old, we like to call it pot roast at Thrive. There's a whole story behind it. Happy to share that someday, but just the way that we've always done it, challenging that status quo and really combining those two elements together to produce a higher quality product. And it produces speed to close, which is a huge differentiator right now, because when rates are what they are, that's not the value game at the moment. It's really quality, it's service, and it's speed to close.
Did you use the term pot roast?
I did, yes.
Have you ever used Coca-Cola in cooking a pot roast?
No. Orange
Melissa, have
juice.
you?
No, is this Rob Christman's like secret sauce to his pot roast?
I knew that I was going to dig a hole for myself when I brought up using Coca-Cola to cook a pot roast. Yeah, I better just go back in my hole and
Is
forget I
it
mentioned that.
like the acidity of it that helps to
Tenderize the meat.
uh-huh.
Well, oh
We see-
boy.
Or is it the
Dr.
flavor?
Food science.
You
Food,
went
food
there. You
science.
went there, Rob. Let's do it.
Put on my food science hat.
Dr. Pepper.
Well, yeah, there's Dr. Well, I mean, I can't see the chats going on, but I've heard, I've never used Coca-Cola myself in cooking a pot roast, but I think that, yeah, there is some tenderization, but there's also sweetness that gets added, because if you think about barbecue sauce or some of the things that you might
Sugar.
marinate a pot roast in, there might be some sweet elements, and I think Coca-Cola does that, but maybe I might be totally off base. I don't know.
No, not
People
you
are
seem to be right on point with the chat.
Everybody is commenting that Coca-Cola makes for a great steak marinade, Dr. Pepper for pulled pork. It's great in the crock pot. Apparently, this is a big thing. Dr. Pepper for brisket. Apparently, it's great for smoking meat. We had no idea. That's
Learned
fantastic.
something new today.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Can I get us back to mortgage?
Hold on. So you're back to mortgage. Thank you, Melissa. So, what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to ask, does the AI and the bot and so forth, are those things that go on, are they invisible to a loan officer, or are the loan officers fully aware of some of the efficiencies and streamlining and so forth that you've put in place, and because it helps them? Or, I mean, how does the typical originator see that going on?
I think it's kind of twofold. I mean, no, not every bot that we have in place, because pulling a flood cert, your loan officer doesn't care about that, and I wouldn't want them to. That's not the best and highest use of them. That's more for our processing and our loan manufacturing line. But as we start talking and getting really into soft credit pools, this has been a huge discussion over the last several months about we're creating a bot, and that automation, we've lovingly named our bot Automate. Not sure why they're Australian, but Auto is Australian. And so Auto is helping us to really look towards, the automation process of that pulling the credit, and really that soft credit pull initially at time of application. Not only is it going to help with the trigger leads, as we all know, but really controlling the cost, at least for now. I know that that's probably going to change here in the next few months, but really looking to help control that cost, that automation point of the loan officer doesn't have to get in and have separate credentials, to pull the soft credit, but the auto is actually pulling it where we can have it default to 1 bureau, 2 bureaus, no point in 3 bureaus on a soft credit pull, but really truly just making sure that they understand how we're setting them up to control the cost, and especially in that specific example. And it's, if it impacts them, absolutely. And then all they have to do, again, taking something off of their plate, creating that speed to close, we're just looking at them to be the decision maker and to be the analyzer on it, not to actually have to do the keystroke. So it's one less thing that's on their plate. They get the report pretty instantly, once the borrower goes in and does the application online. And of course we've got bots too that are pulling not only soft credit, but they're looking at, if we get the credentials from the borrower at time of application, we're pulling in VODs, we're pulling in VOEs, we're pulling in VOIs, all of those things. So that way, when a loan officer does get it to actually qualify the borrower, they're not having to spend the time to do the keystrokes. They're simply just analyzing the information and then able to produce a quicker result back to the borrowers. So to answer your question, yes and no, Rob, it kind of depends on what the bot is and if it makes sense. And of course, again, going back to kind of my original statement of getting your teams involved, they have to be the decision makers on this, because if we push out a product that they don't use, they don't want to use, it's not effective and efficient for them, it's a waste of time and money, and you get absolute no buy-in and no utilization of it, which that's just a waste.
So you mentioned the team effort and looking at different departments and so forth, different parts of the loan process. Have you, through this effort, has the tech review team, whatever you might call it, have you actually discarded unused or underused pieces of technology that you might have been paying for through some kind of license or some kind of monthly fee, and you say, we're not using this, let's get rid of it?
Absolutely. Yes. Specifically, I think, we started this adventure in disclosures. So that was one of the big things. And yes, there is a human element to it. Obviously, if you take something off somebody's plate, they have less to do. They're open to, do more. But as you have people electively remove themselves from the mortgage industry, I'm not having to replace those people. In terms of systems, we've actually been able to, some of the third-party systems that we've used, and I'll say in the past now, we were able to create our own, and not even just saying, hey, you don't have to do this. We don't actually need this. A lot of that truly just came from reviewing and job shadowing. Why are you checking the checker? Why do we have somebody else checking the checker to check the checker? There was a lot of that going on, and it's shocking and it's surprising in this day and age that does still exist. But I promise you, it does in your teams. And if you're not really digging in to look at it, you're going to find that a lot of that just extra keystrokes and work is happening that doesn't need to happen. Streamline it, cut it out, eliminate it. And a lot of the times that does mean additional systems that are providing that oversight. If your team's already doing it, why do you need to spend money on a system that's checking the checker that checks the checker? You don't.
Very, very well put. I don't, as a quick aside, I hear a lot about that because the CEOs or managers will reach out to me and say, what about this and what about that? And I think it's important, as you guys did, to have like a team, like no one's as smart as everyone kind of thing, but also to look at things critically, because there are things that one person may not think of. One one example might be going back to the pot roast and the Coca-Cola. You can't use Diet Coke. You have to use something with sugar in it, as I recall it. The team that you have assembled, do they let me take a quick step back. I don't think anybody on this call has ever been disappointed when some kind of meeting got canceled or some kind of Zoom call got canceled. It's like when you have a meeting canceled, it's like, thank goodness I didn't want to sit in on that meeting anyway.
Gift of time.
How does the team communicate effectively? Is everybody under the same roof? Is it a once a week thing? Is it just ad hoc? I mean, how do they communicate?
Yeah. So the team that we pulled together, it's been, again, a benefit of just repurposing some of our really key, hungry, humble, and smart folks that we already had that, again, like I said, those junior underwriters that used to be really great processors. This team is former processing leaders, appraisal gurus, so they already kind of have a general idea. They're already have been in our systems, understand the workflows, to some degree. But they come in and they do just job shadowing. Don't ask any questions. We just want to see you work. And that's kind of how we start, because you can't walk in somewhere and start making suggestions on how to make something better if you have no idea what's already in place. So they truly come in, from an exploratory opportunity, pull that all together, and then walk through with the department manager initially and say, hey, here's what we're seeing. Can you go through and maybe explain some of these? Do you know why this is happening? Do you know why we're doing this keystroke? Why we have this set up after this and not the other way around or flipped? And then they'll actually come together and pull. I mean, it's a real fun little presentation. It's silly a little bit some of the times, just it's not fun, sexy stuff that we're talking about. So you got to have a little bit of fun with it. But just creating, here's what we see, here's some ideas and opportunities, and partnering with that department leader to really see, okay, where do you want to move forward? Where do you think that this is, let's prioritize some of these tasks and opportunities that we found in terms of efficiency. And then from there, yes, it's typically a weekly meeting. We get a task list put into place. We identify the key stakeholders, the subject matter experts, and we take off from there. So yeah, about a once a week meeting. That's a long answer to your question.
No, you used the interesting description of, you said that the team members are generally are smart and humble.
Hungry, humble, and smart. Yes, of course.
Hungry and
That's all
humble
we
and smart.
employ at Thrive.
Yeah, I've never been accused of being humble or smart, so I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd fit in on that team. Melissa, other question. I'm going to turn this over to you because I'm digging more holes for myself here.
You're not digging holes. Okay, so Donielle, obviously there's lots of different solutions that you guys have started to kind of look at to better support your loan officers and your sales team, as well as your operations team. When volume is down, just naturally, especially in the operations side, but also on the sales side, there's kind of this morale effect. What are some of the things that you guys are doing to help be great leaders for your team? I think Thrive is so unique in this, and I'd love for you to share some of the things with everybody here.
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of a mixed approach with our operations team. I think it's a mix of transparency, education, and recognition in order to keep people motivated. But it definitely looks a lot different than it did just 2 years ago, and I know that there's a lot of fear. To your point, there's a lot of fear that's happening right now out in the industry. And, when people are operating from a place of fear, they can kind of be consumed by that fear. Am I going to have a job tomorrow? Am I going to be next on that furlough list? And that fear can really play into quality, attitude, and their performance. And while I don't have a crystal ball, I don't have any guarantees to offer my teams that they're not going to be next on that furlough list. I do try to be as transparent and really educate them to the current environment. I like to tell, especially our leaders, I'm trying to educate you in order to make you better stewards of the business and the industry. And please pass this along to your team so that they understand really what's happening. And that I think empowers our team. It really helps them to understand that everything they do, from their keystrokes to every mistake that we have to correct, it really feeds into that bottom line, and that they really do own that piece. They own how they are contributing to the bottom line and how that correlates to their job, their seat, their performance. And so we talk a lot about quality and attitude, two very big things, especially for our subject matter experts, our processors, underwriters, that they have the power to control, and giving them that education on how their actions truly impact our ability to offer pricing and products. And I think that really helps to motivate them, to bring them together as one and know that, hey, we're all in this together. This isn't a Thrive problem that we're having with low volume. This is an industry problem. And I don't think anybody is immune to seeing all those little green banners on LinkedIn, open to work. And so, I mean, it's not foreign to somebody that, I'm sitting in a seat as a processor. Again, I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow, but I think it takes some empowerment in that education piece and recognition. I mean, that's absolutely something that you have to do, but we don't have the budgets like we did 2 years ago to bring everybody together and have big parties and summits and awards, even physical awards. And so it looks a little different. We've gotten a little creative. So whether it's in a leadership meeting or a company update call, we really try to always incorporate a culture piece or a recognition piece. And it's not, for us, it's not just about highlighting the great job you did and all the volume that you closed and the families that you helped, but it's really about getting to know each other and celebrating each other as friends, and, as corny as it's going to sound, family. So we celebrate babies, we celebrate graduations, personal achievements, philanthropy efforts, in addition to all of the work stuff, right? And it's just been a really great opportunity to connect with people. And again, I think bring back that empowerment and that education piece that we're not in this alone. And one big thing that we do, Fridays, my email always blows up because it's kudos day. And it's just an online system that anybody can go in. If somebody's gone above and beyond, put in a kudos, it gets sent to their manager. And when I say blow up, yes, we have lots of kudos, but what comes after that kudos is sent to the bar or to the SME is the great part. That's the good stuff, because then you get this love fest going back and forth of, yes, I know this person's so amazing. They helped me here. They did this. And that's really, I think, where the secret sauce comes in, and really showing that recognition that it's not just coming from the top down in some official forum of you did great today, but it's recognizing those little moments in between. And again, just, kind of helping to create that culture piece for your company. I mean, it's hard times out there. People are scared, people are nervous, and every loan means so much, and tensions run really high. So a little bit of grace, a lot of recognition, and a little bit of culture, I think, go a really long way. And it just has to look a little different right now.
I agree completely.
So Melissa, I'm on a roll today. So Donielle, last time I was in Georgetown visiting Thrive Mortgage, Michael Jones and I took off for a barbecue lunch to the east. Is it Tyler, Texas?
Probably Taylor. Mm-hmm.
Taylor, one of those traditional barbecue places. Talking about secret sauce. There was some good barbecue out there. So the next time you're in Georgetown, head east, have Michael take you to that place. It's good. In fact, rather than give employees raises, maybe Michael could just take them to lunch.
There you go.
Suggestion. There's a suggestion in the suggestion box.
Rob, are you hungry today?
I am.
I know. Do we need to feed you?
I've had, Melissa, I got up at 3 a.m. after flying in from Milwaukee after 2.5 hours of sleep, and it's been an interesting last 24 hours. The only thing I've had to eat today was a cinnamon roll.
Okay.
So I need some protein.
Some action going on.
I will try. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
BLT.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So before we go, because we are at time, but we were having such a great conversation, I didn't want to stop us. Is anybody dressing up for Halloween? Nope.
I'm not, but I did purchase, and I'm going to admit this, and Rob, please save your comments because I'm sure there will be comments, but I did purchase a Halloween costume for my dog. Okay. So he will be dressing up to hand out candy.
The dog? What is
for
it?
The dog? It's a Chucky costume, like complete with the knife and the red hair. I know, but it's hilarious when he runs with it. He's a little tiny dog, so it's funny. I don't know, you have to see it.
Of that, and it is absolutely hilarious. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's good.
You have to send videos. That's
I will. I will.
All right. Well, we are up at time. Donielle, thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
Yes, thank you
and
very
time
much
with us. I so appreciate it.
This was fun. Thank you all both
for taking some time, and hopefully you get some food this weekend. And yeah, if y'all liked any of the content here, please don't hesitate to like us on YouTube or follow us on our Team C Connect podcast channel as well. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a fantastic Halloween, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.